And we're live. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode number 1. And we have liftoff. I'm your host, Alex, and I have Ronnie the Jira guy. Thank you very much for everybody joining us. We're excited. This is episode 1. Not really sure what to expect, but we're really
We'll find out as we go along. The response, we announced this thing Friday, almost a week ago. And so far it's been beyond what I expected. I think it's also been beyond what you expected, Alex.
Absolutely, yeah. The fact that we hit over 100 subscribers in under a week has just been mind-blowing. I do want to remind everybody here tuning in, make sure we are in the comment section. So we are going to be reading every comment. So we want to make this as interactive as possible. We do have a couple of topics that we're going to be covering today, but feel free to chime in, join the conversation, have some fun with it. Let us know what you think, what's going on. Add your opinions, add your little flair, do what you want to do. But yeah, definitely jump into the comment section. We have it up here on the right. And so we will be monitoring and interacting with you. So definitely at least say hello. Say hello to the Jira guy. Say hello to... I really need to get a name.
We keep talking about the same name and you never go and claim it.
I gotta go claim it. I gotta go. I can't popularize it too much before everybody goes and beats me to it. But anyway, so super excited to be here, Ronnie. I cannot believe it took us maybe a year of saying we're gonna do this.
Well, I don't know how long we've been talking about this, but yeah, year sounds about right. I think that's the first time we collabed on something, and we just we should do this. We should do this. Well, we're doing it, guys, right here, right now.
Yeah. All right. So we definitely have a few people. Monday copy by fire. Why is Ronnie sounding like he has a brand? Yeah. What is? I was gonna ask you. Are you gonna keep the voice the whole time? Or are we gonna do
I didn't realize I still had it on. I was doing some recording beforehand, and yeah.
Thank you. I'm assuming that's either Nikki or Vero, or somebody else from. I'm assuming it's Nikki or Vero. Does anybody else run their stuff over there? I think it's just them, right?
Well, I think it's probably Nikki.
I didn't want to say anything. I was like, I'm gonna let him go with it. This is 50% ownership on this. If he wants to do.
So we have our first question. Jexo wants to know who I kidnapped. For your information, I have officially kidnapped Alex. That's the whole reason we're doing this. Is I kidnapped him and forced him to make a podcast with me. So that's the story we're going with.
Are you sure it wasn't the other way around? I feel like it was the other way around. But yeah, thank you, Vero, for we are having some fun here. We're going to be talking about 3 things, though. We do have 3 topics that we want to address, and we'll kind of it's going to be a little bit of banter, a little bit just back and forth. We'll bring up the topic, and if you have an opinion and or if you want to join, I haven't quite figured it out, but feel free to send me a DM on LinkedIn, and I can get you a link. But if you want to jump in and join us, I think we can have up to 10 people on here, so we got room for 8 more. There's 4 of you all watching, and I think we're 2 of them. So feel free to definitely jump in here, and we would be more than happy to have you join us for some fun. This is a very unofficial, or I would say informal, right? Informal. Is that the right word? If my English was any good. Very informal conversation. Really just here to kind of talk about things that we love, Atlassian and Jira stuff. And yeah, so do feel free to jump in and talk about the things that excite you or things that you want to talk about. All right. But First topic, I think this is something, Ronnie, you had brought up first. What to do as a new Jira admin, part of the Atlassian Creators Program. Why don't you walk us through what this is? How did you get involved with it, and what can we expect?
This was actually a writing prompt I got. The Atlassian creators every month get a bunch of writing prompts for ideas from Atlassian. This was something I actually talked about before, but I thought it was like one of the first episode. We're brand new here. I know, Alex, from your experience, what you've told me, you have had plenty of new positions to your admin. I have. Let's talk about that. What do we do day one?
Yeah, I think this is a great place to start because I have a really hard time answering this question. I get this question a lot, and people typically ask me like, hey, I want to jump into Jira. Do I need to know how to code? Do I need to know IT? Like, what's the 411 here? I also get a lot of people that are non-technical backgrounds that are like Scrum Masters, product owners. And And by virtue of them, just using Jira, they kind of get deemed worthy of being the administrator for the Jira because they're the only ones that touch it all day long. And so, but it's a little overwhelming, right? Because some people just don't have the technical background, which is why in my interview series, you might have noticed I asked, hey, Ronnie, what is your background in, right? Because this is a common question that I get is I wasn't born with computers type of thing, right? I'm not around computers all day long. Can I still be an admin? What do you think?
I mean, absolutely. There are all sorts of admins, all sorts of different skill sets out there. Thanks to Atlassian Cloud, you don't have to run your own system anymore. And even when that was data center and server was our only options, you can still get someone to run that for you on the back end. You just maintain the front end. You definitely do not have to be technically capable to be a Jira admin. All you have to do is be willing to learn, really. And that's the first thing. I think what to do as a new admin is learn.
And what are some tips here that we can have for folks that are wanting to learn Jira for the first time?
Well, I mean, what I did when I was first learning Jira is I read everything I could get my hands on. And thankfully, the world has changed a lot since then. 9 years ago at this point? We have a lot of, incidentally, Atlassian creators out there who write and produce and a lot of content. If you want the latest news, there's obviously AppFire and their morning or Monday coffee show. If
Great
you want
show.
to learn how,
By the way, Biro, just not to stop here, Biro, we actually talked about you when we were like, are we gonna step on their toes? Are we gonna like? Is Biro and Nikki gonna come at us and go, guys, what are you doing? You're taking away our people. And we designed it. We're trying to set this up in such a way that we can both exist in this world. In the names of Alexander, or what was it? In Hamilton, right? The world's big enough for both of us.
Mhm.
And so
But
we
yeah,
are no way trying to take anything away. But yeah, huge fans. I was actually just joking around when we were right before we hit live. I'm like, should I go get my Monday coffee shirt? Because I have one in my closet right now that it should be our official uniform.
but yeah, going back to the point, there's whole classes put on. Rachel Wright has a series. Alex, I know you have a series. And then there's just general topics. How do I import CVS, for example? I have a whole article on that. So the world is a lot different. Back when I started, you pretty much Atlassian was the main source of truth, and we had a couple of side people kind of doing something. But there was a lot of content out there. Now, if you want to learn Jira, as long as you're willing to learn and put in the effort to learn, there is no shortage of material for you to learn from. I suppose the second thing there, and I know we talked about this, Alex, was get a test environment.
Yeah, we
Get something
definitely.
you can experiment with.
Yeah, we were talking about Jira's free. In case you all didn't know, Jira's completely free, and I like to tell people you can do about 80%. I would say 80% of what you do with the paid. I think you can definitely do there. But before we keep going, I just want to take a second here. Shout out to obviously Monday Coffee by Appfire there in the chat. Thank you so much. It looks like Bob Wen isn't this somebody that you know pretty well here?
I believe that is my partner on the Jira Avengers for the Quiz Whiz.
Did that happen yet?
Yeah, we had the first episode.
Did you win, lose?
No spoilers. If you want to go find the Quiz Whiz for the Atlassian community channel and watch that. But yeah, me and Robert did have our first match. And
Avengers. I love the name. Bob, if on LinkedIn, if you want to DM me, we have links to people to join us, so we can have up to 8 people join us here. And so, if you guys want to jump in on the fun,
Jira Avengers is simple.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Now I feel bad. I'm not part of the Jira Avengers. They should do this like a bigger group thing.
I mean, if they keep going the way they are, we might have to reconvene the Jira Avengers next year.
I had asked him, I was like, hey, we should do like a March Madness type of thing. So he said, maybe we'll see. You got to stay tuned. You got to go follow along the Wiz quiz. But I did talk to him and asked Sajid. I was like, hey, this is fun. It'd be kind of cool. We can all kind of predict who do we think is gonna win it, right, from like day one. And so he's like, stay tuned. Something's in the works.
He should have put out some brackets for us to make predictions. Obviously, I know who I want to win. I have to help Bob keep his crown.
Vero says it's 10 p.m. His hair's a mess and he won't join you this evening. Vero, you're just like, you wake up looking amazing. I don't know what you're talking about, hair's being a mess.
I mean, my hair's not great right now, so...
I would assume with all the content that Monday Coffee put out, like they're just like camera ready 24/7. I mean, they come to Vegas with like boomsticks, like it was a whole production crew. So like they are ready like this to do like a video.
As far as content creators go, Bureau, Nikki, the whole AppFire crew over there are on a whole nother level. And it definitely shows. I love their new studio. I know eventually we're going to stop talking about AppFire and start talking.
Back to the question.
Yeah, but
I think we're gonna have to book some trips to the UK. I might actually have to get a passport so I can go over to UK and be in one of these episodes of Monday Coffee. All right, so where were we with the question? We're talking about Jira's free. You can do about 80%, and then you were saying something before I cut you off. I want to acknowledge the chat, right? I want to make sure that everybody kind of feels like they're involved here and being a part of it. So over time, do please feel free to interrupt us. Ronnie, I just didn't give you the heads up, but I do plan on jumping over to the chat.
I mean,
as new things are
absolutely.
Don't make me blush. For sure, call in a future episode, and we'll mention your TJL, and then I'll come. Yeah, thank you. That would be super awesome, Bureau. That would be really, really cool. Thank you for the shout out this week on the Summer of Atlassian. By the way, small little shameless plug. We are 2 weeks into the Summer of Atlassian 2.0 over on my channel, Tech Tutorials. Link in the description below. Feel free if you haven't checked those out. We have 70 plus videos. We got interviews with community members. Rodney, you were number one. By the way, I wouldn't have thought this, but you are definitely eclipsing Mr. Funman Andy. I got like 22 views with him, and I have 200 and almost 250 with you. So, Mr.
I mean, I have a 1 week head start, so that's hardly a fair comparison.
But on day one, I got like almost 100 with you. So
seriously though,
I think Andy's in that conference at the Meta Inf conference, and
he is.
So he just hasn't had time to go tell his people go watch me. But it was a great conversation, by the way. I loved it. My wife had a really fun time bleeping it out.
I can imagine with that, Andy. I've been loving the pictures of him at the Meta Inf conference. Just randomly guerrilla putting our stickers on different vendors.
Yeah, I just shipped them 150 stickers for the next conference.
Yeah.
So back to the question then. Where were we on learning Jira?
Yeah, we were talking. Jira is free. I do want to say there's an asterisk. It is free for up to 10 people. You go over 10 people, you do have to start paying. And as Alex mentioned, there is limited functionality. But you know how the lawyers are. We have to be specific here. It is free to a point.
Yeah, but the only major limitation that I see is you can't manage users. So you can't, like, you can still create groups, you can still create the roles, you can still create the permission schemes, and so you can practice those mechanics, but you can't actually like put a user into the project that puts them into the role, which then gives them the permission. Like, that's not possible. You can practice it though, but you just won't be able to do that. Just because it's open to everybody.
Yeah, but still, I have a free instance. I use it a lot for, hey, Atlassian just came out with, for example, Jira Product Discovery. Let me play around, see what this thing is, get some screenshots for you guys, and learn this new product.
What do you think of Product Discovery so far?
I see a lot of potential in there. I really want to get it integrated somehow with the blog, so you guys could submit post ideas directly to a Jira instance,
Yeah, in the
and then I
comments
can
section,
manage them in
anybody using
JPD.
it? Is anybody using it yet? Let us know in the comment section here, and let us know what you think about it. I've been playing around with it. I think I was first introduced to it like, I don't know, January, February timeframe, and it's okay then. But ever since they introduced that delivery feature where you can sync or link to Jira, game changer, man. Like, it's just
Mhm.
night and day almost. That one little feature just flipped the switch for me.
Yeah, I saw some hints of potential in there, and just the way to organize a whole roadmap, saying, okay, what features do I actually have time to work on? So,
Yeah, but their road mapping capabilities, while useful, nothing compared to Swanly. Shameless shout out to another great app out there, because like I'm expecting a visual. I love this like timeline looking thing, right? And I know Vero put out a video about the difference between like, what was it, timelines and roadmaps or something like that. But
yeah.
I think a lot of people are expecting to see more of a visual line than like the column. The approach that they took, I'm not happy with that visual. I want to see more like what Swanly does for you. Which also, by the way, I have tried this out, and Swanly does bring in those ideas into your thing, so you can integrate them and see the idea with the rest of your epics and stories, which is really neat because the advanced roadmap doesn't let you do that. It doesn't plug into the Jira product discovery projects, which I think is a big miss right now from Atlassian.
Advanced roadmap is again, I want to keep this positive, but I've had my run-ins with advanced roadmap, and I tend not to use it when I don't have to.
Really? I love advanced roadmaps. It's one of the features that I think most folks that I work with, they practically live in it. I
And it
have
may be where I am or what I work on, but said I've tried using it before, and old school Atlassian was really bad about this. They've gotten better over the years, but old school Atlassian was you'll use the product our way and only our way. And if you want to deviate from that, expect to be on your own.
Yeah, so one of my most popular videos that I published probably last summer was how to use advanced roadmaps, and it's crushing it. I get 200-300 views every 2 days. It's
Mhm.
lot of popularity. I think people like it. I think people resonate with it because it lets you kind of be waterfall without jeopardizing like the agile portion as well, right? And I think just executives like to see, when the heck is my stuff going to be done. Now, is there room for improvement? Absolutely. One, let's bring in those product discovery projects, and two, hey Nikki, how are you?
Mickey.
Yeah, now it's a party. How's your hair doing? Is your hair any better than Biro's? Because Biro said he can't join us because of his hair. um, but yeah, and two would be dependencies, right? Like I love how you can link them up, and then you have your dependency report. But the moment that a date flips, like it should have a downstream effect, kind of like Microsoft Project. So definitely, definitely a fun tool, though. I think I always gravitate towards letting people go over there.
Okay, this is important. This is
Breaking
important.
news! Breaking news! We need to have like a sound, the little horn, air horn.
There we go. But breaking news, Nikki just told us that Peanut, the famous star from Monday Coffee, has a new sister.
That is amazing.
There is a
I'm an
new
only
puppy
child,
in the
so
house.
awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, I love seeing.
I have a
just love
soundboard, by the way.
Yes. I am so glad that I partnered up with the right person on the internet. You gotta tell me what else you got. Maybe we can like make sure we weave it in. And Bob says, all hail the Gantt chart. Yes, the Gantt chart here is probably every executive's like, they just eat that stuff up every day, all day. And it's better than the basic roadmap, right? I think a lot of teams go to the we're gonna have to like start making like our tweetable moments on this episode, right? Like breaking news. maybe we can get to a point where Atlassian uses those to kind of like announce major cool things to everybody. By the way, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, this now would be a great time for you to smash the subscribe button and help support the channel. Can we hit 200 in 2 weeks? Like, is that possible, Ronnie? What do you think?
I'm not taking bets anymore.
Not anymore?
I'm not taking bets anymore.
We're 89 away. So do we have 89 friends? Do you all have 89 friends? Tell everybody you know. If you have multiple Gmails, hit them all up. Back to the topic though, because we are here. So one thing that I do want to call out here with learning Jira, right? Kind of getting to know it, is literally just use it, right? Too many people, it's hard to just find a thread. That's usually the area that I struggle with the most. Is like, where do you even start learning? Like, where out of this whole big blue sea do I even like put my toe in, right? Like, it's so overwhelming sometimes. But my recommendation is just like, do it. Just start anywhere. It literally doesn't matter where you start. Create a project. Do whatever you're gonna do. Start with the workflow, whatever you want. But just do it. Just try it. Just experiment. And the beauty of these things, right, is you can always like, just make a new one. Make a whole new Jira. You can't break it any more than Atlassian will let you break it. So don't be afraid. It's the only way to learn, and it's the only way to. I like people typically ask me a question. They're like, "How do you do this in Jira?" I'm like, "I don't know, but let's find out." Right? and so let's just go and try it and see what happens. And over time, you will learn the limitations of Jira. You will learn what you can and can't do, and then you'll learn how to break people's hearts better. But what do you think, Ronnie? What's your exposure?
I mean, that's just it. You just got to get in. I've always said, at being certified admin, the hardest part of the certification test is you don't have Jira in front of you. Get in there, build that muscle memory, learn where the different things are, and just do it. And then you'll get to the point where the hardest part of the exam is not having Jira in front of you.
You ever watch was it Transformers 2 with Shia, where he was like writing like all these like hieroglyphics all over his walls? Like, I feel like at night when I'm sleeping, like I just see Jira issue IDs. And it's like, it's a very, very unhealthy way to live your life, I would say.
I'm still reminded about the COVID-19 joke. The worst part of COVID-19 is it looks like a Jira issue.
It does look like a Jira issue. I've never heard of that. Wow, that's another first. You heard it here first on TJ. What else did I want to bring? The whole COVID-19 thing threw me off, but oh, my biggest tip that I tell people, folks, when you're creating a Jira project and you go to your key, I always tell people every time I do any training and you're setting up your project for the first time, pick letters that roll off your tongue easily, because nobody wants to just be saying TJL all day, right? Because you want to do something that's natural, like that's a little bit intuitive, right? Because some people will like make just a throw up of letters, right? And it's kind of hard. You're gonna be saying this a lot. Sorry, didn't get.
I'm not repeating that one.
Yeah, Megan Fox made it a little challenging to pay attention to the narrative of the movie. Although, never mind. This is not a Megan Fox thing, but yeah, Megan Fox, she took an interesting turn in life. But I do enjoy the first 3 Transformer movies. Those were, I think, really, really good, and a lot of we should do what can we learn from movies in Jira type of series or something.
I mean, yes, but Atlassian also kind of beat us to the punch with that James Cameron interview during Team 23.
I just watched Avatar 2, so I was telling my wife, I'm like, I talked because my wife was like, I wonder how they did this or why they did that, and I'm like, well, I talked to the creator, or I didn't talk, but we heard the creator's thing, so it's interesting to hear his perspectives now that I've seen the movie, and yeah. So you have all 10 characters for the key. I'd like to use them all. Yes, Bob.
Me and Bob. For the sake of the Jira Avengers, I'm not going to say anything about that, but that hurts. That hurts.
Oh man, I am very picky about my keys, right? It's got to be something that's easy. My favorite thing to do though is to go into a brand new Jira and claim the Jira project.
I think the One of the worst I've seen was an analysis team, and the person who was the Jira admin for me was not very professional, and B was very vindictive, and apparently had beef with this team. So yeah, that was one of the first things I did on that instance when I was cleaning it up was fix their key.
Nice. Yeah. It's so in the data center, I remember I used to have nightmares, right? Like you would have to re-index your projects.
Mm-hmm.
But in the cloud, it does it for you. So what are your thoughts on like re-keying your project?
I mean,
Is it
if
still
it makes
scary?
sense, it makes
It used to scare
sense.
the crap out of me when we used to do it back in 2016, 17.
I mean, I've always had the attitude that the worst thing I could do is learn how to fix something differently. So
Okay.
I've always been
Teachable
more,
moment
if
right
it
there.
breaks, it breaks. I'll figure out how to fix it. Let's just get stuff done.
Yeah, but at what point do you break something to the point that you're like yanking your hair out of your head because you're just so stressed that you just can't figure it out anymore?
That's when you pull the backups because you have backups, right?
Not in the cloud, but if our sponsorship or Rewind comes through, yeah, no, the cloud is one of those things where once you hit delete, I tell people you smash that red button twice because it prompts you, and you're still committed to it. It ain't coming back, and Atlassian's not keeping a key for you. So warn users if they have JQL tied to keys in the cloud. I can only speak of the cloud. I haven't seen any problems because even if you reference the old URL with the old key, it always redirects to the new stuff. Does that happen in a data center?
It's same. Yeah, it's same in data center.
Yeah, because I used to be scared, right? Like Atlassian, at least in 2017, when I would like name the key for a project,
But
Atlassian would be like, no, don't do that.
that's if you access the key directly. If you're using a JQL and you have project in and then just a list of keys, that will not redirect in a search,
That's a good point.
which is, I think, to Bob's point, warn users if they have JQL tied to keys because those keys will not forward like the direct URLs to the project will.
I have to try that out though. I don't know that I've seen that. But I also don't go around and re-keying my projects very often. But I don't. Is that true? We should do like a let's test it in TJL. Pull up
All right,
Jira.
so I'm putting down here for some point in the future Mythbusters episode.
So we should start collecting over the next few weeks. Like, what's your greatest myth in Jira, and we're gonna bust it in this one of these episodes. So bring on your conspiracy theories. Bring on what you think Jira may or may not be able to do, and we're going to prove it live. One thing I will tell you on a similar note, not exactly the same thing, but if you have a custom field and you go and rename that custom field, then all your Jira automations will break 100%, and your queries are all going to break. All your JQLs are going to break, right? Because it's going to reference a field that doesn't exist anymore. Why it's not able to remap it? Well, don't put your
There's an exception.
Oh, enlighten me then. See, this is why we're doing it, to get better.
There are two ways in Jira to reference any custom field. You'd either do it by its name or its CF number.
Oh, okay. So
CF open bracket, the number of the ID for the field, close bracket. If you have a name conflict, that's the only way to reference a specific field by a given name, which is how I learned this. And that ID number does not change even if you rename the field. So that's the one case. If you're referencing a field by its ID number and you change the name, it will still work in JQL.
Getting the CF number is not trivial if you don't know where you're
No, it's not. And it's even worse in cloud. So good luck with that. But
in cloud, you got to go to the gear issues, custom fields, find set custom field, and hover. Hover over it. And then it'll show up in the URL. And that's probably the only easiest way to get it that I know. I will tell you though, I tend to shy away from coding things in. I have a computer engineering degree, but I never learned how to code the right way. And so I don't touch coding. So I was just like, drew the drop down, pick the field, and go on with my life.
mm-hmm.
But it's good to know.
Yeah.
I know that I've done so in automation. Ronnie's right. Custom fields can have the same name but different IDs. And but as a disclaimer, I would like to tell the people, don't name your fields the same. Because not that you can't, right? Because you obviously can, but it makes it hard. It makes it hard downstream, right? Because when you're picking from your, like, most users are not going to know their CF number, their ID, right? I mean, at least not without going to look. And the method that I shared with you on how to look for it, it's like an admin only thing, and 99% of, hopefully 99.9% of your users don't have admin rights, right? So they're not going to be able to go find that that ID easily. I'm sure there's other ways to do it, but on the spot here, nothing else comes to mind. But the point I'm trying to make though is, shoot, I lost my train of thought, man.
Yeah, you do. I'll pick it up for you. Do not name fields the same thing.
Because you will there will be a moment when you got to go to the automation rule and you got to like pick your field and you're like, is it the top one or the bottom one?
The number one offender for repeated same named custom field I have ever experienced is due date.
Oh my gosh, due date, but it's so easy to find out who your offenders are because Atlassian's due date has like one big D and one little d. And everybody else will do like two big D's or something. Holy moly, it's turning into a very X-rated episode. but yeah, there's a difference, right? There's a character difference. And a lot of people, I've gotten into arguments with somebody who's like, why are you using a custom due date? And they're like, this is the out of the box one. I'm like, no, it's not. And they're like, how do you know? I'm like, because Atlassian has the camel hump on their spelling, and yours doesn't. So yours is custom. But no, business unit. A lot of companies have a business unit, and everybody has a different interpretation of their business unit. So that one's been my biggest, like, everybody has their own thing. Which, by the way, though, there's an advanced feature. There's an advanced way to mitigate this problem, right? It's called the context, folks. Add context to your fields. You have one field, just different context. You can reuse the same field.
Absolutely. Context used to be a lot harder to work with. They've made it a lot easier and a lot more admin friendly. So use those contexts. Do not reuse the field. I will haunt you in your sleep if you rename or duplicate a name.
Mister, I'm trying to keep it positive, but I'm going to haunt you. Oh, man.
Some of my biggest headaches have been caused by people duplicating a field.
One of my very first interviews, somebody had asked me, what's a context? And I'm like, I've seen it 1,000 times, but I never actually used one. So I couldn't answer the question, but now I learned it. I don't like using it. Like, I'll use it because it's good to use it, but I try to make their fields a little bit more unique. But then you get into like this field arbitrage or just hundreds and hundreds of custom fields. So it's like, where do you draw the line? But
I think the easiest interview question I flopped as a Jira admin was the first interview I had as a Jira admin after I started working with Elastic Tools, and is, what is a transition?
How do you botch that up?
I mean, I hadn't covered that part of the documentation yet.
You haven't gone down to page 2?
I mean, I knew what it was. I just couldn't put the name to the object.
So for your notes here, we should do our biggest Jira flops and just have people email in their biggest like horror stories and mistakes that they've done in Jira. And so we'll want to keep those for everybody so we can share them and or poke fun of them or roast them or something.
We're not going to roast people. We're going to anonymously share what you don't do in Jira.
How not to? Was it with you? I've had this idea to do like the anti-Jira. I think it was you. Remember we came up with this last year, like how not to Jira? It definitely
yes, that's what it was. How not to Jira.
How not to Jira. We got to turn that into a series, but I just not very creative. So we're gonna just open it up so that people can come in and vote and help us come up with these great ideas, and we'll just share with everybody on how not to Jira. I think, have we beat up this topic enough? Should we do a very quick recap for brand new people? What to do as a new Jira admin? Get Jira.
Yeah, let's just,
Get your hands on Jira. It's free. And if it's on data center, it's still free. You can download it, right?
Yeah, you could get a 30-day free trial for a data center up to 3 times. That is 3 months to learn on data center.
Yeah. So even if
The
it's over
caveat there is you have to run it.
you have to set it all up, right? You have to get your database, you have to install it, you got to configure it. Good
If
luck.
only someone had a guide to that.
If only, the hardest part that I've had is the dumb user permissions on the database and the UTF encoding. That's just always thrown me off. I'm like, it never matches the documentation with what I see in the UI. Also, maybe take a Linux class too while you're there.
I mean, one of my first articles on how to install data center was how to do that, and I just gave you the commands to run, so you didn't have to worry about it. Just take this, run it, you're good.
But overall, though, if you are going to be a Jira admin for data center, I would recommend you at least know a thing or two about a thing or two when it's with respect to Linux. You don't,
Yeah.
or at least the environment that you're going to be installing this in, right? You should have some familiarity of Windows Server and or Linux server. Hey, Femi, thank you for joining. Thank you so much for the comment here. Appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully, we're just getting started here. We're halfway through, almost way beyond halfway through, but we're having some fun here, answering some questions. We're giving you the recap. So number one, if you're learning Jira, install it and or sign up for Jira Cloud. If you're on the data center, learn a thing or two about the system that you're installing it in, a little bit of administration, and or go check out Rodney's guide, and it'll walk you through all the commands that you need. If you're in the cloud, worry not, my friends. You don't have to know a thing or two about servers because Atlassian takes care of it for you. And so you just need
honestly, if you're new to Jira at this point, I'd almost recommend you look at the cloud first.
Atlassian will tell you the same thing too. Only go to the cloud. But yeah, and then use it, right? So just having access to Jira is not going to help. Obviously, we both have a lot of tremendous amount of resources here for people. But yeah, just go play around with it. Roll up your sleeves, get your hands dirty. I like to tell people, be like Miss Frizzle, right? Make mistakes, take chances.
Get messy.
And get messy. And that's honestly the best way to learn it. I tell my biggest insider tip on how to learn Jira quickly, right? It's a very difficult way to learn it, but I think it's the most rewarding way to learn it. And my tip here is go to the community.atlassian.com and answer the questions by recreating them in Jira, and then you know how to answer them. So like recreate their problem and then kind of like go, how did they get here? Right? And then fix it. And then go teach them how to fix it. And I think that's honestly like the best way. I think it's the most humbling way to kind of keep your Jira chops like sharpened, because there's just a million different problems out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Cricket sound in there?
I have it, but I don't have it pulled up.
We got to get a cricket one in there for when we both hit these awkward pauses.
Yeah. But yeah, get in there. Community, both if you need help or guidance, they're going to point you to the right resources. And likewise, if you're just learning, see what problems other people are having and how they're solved, or try to solve them yourself. I've always been one to press the button, see what it does, figure out how to fix it later.
5 things, though, if a new person, what are the 5 topics, 5 areas that they should go learn? I know my 5, so I want to compare them with yours, see if we align.
So 5 settings. Number 1, user settings. How do you add users? How do you give them access?
I like
number.
You call it user settings. I always call it user management, but that's probably because that's what the cloud calls it. Number 2.
How to create new projects.
And the differences between your templates.
And differences between the different project types and templates and all that. But how do you go about creating a project?
We're not ready to do giveaways. We'll have to go get some sponsors, but there is a typo in Atlassian's UI. Go find it when you go create a project. And first person to tell me, we'll have to give them something. We'll have to do something special for the first person. that finds it. But
Yeah.
there is a typo in Atlassian's UI when you're creating a project. Have you seen it, Ronnie? Have you ever created a cloud project?
I've created plenty of cloud projects, but it is not coming to mind.
There is a significant, and it's not really a typo, but it is a mistake. There is a mistake on Atlassian's user interface in production for cloud when you're setting up a project. That is just annoying me. But if anybody else can find it, come talk to me. Send me a DM on LinkedIn. We'll chat.
Yeah.
I'll give you some free hours of Alex 101 time.
So learn how to add user management, create projects, how to add users to those projects, and what the various permissions and roles mean.
Okay.
How to manage workflows. And then how to Jira itself, how to use Jira as a user.
Okay. So all first four, 100%. Well, yeah, 100% agree with the first four, but my fifth one is screens. Know the difference between the screen, your screen scheme, and your issue type screen scheme. And your issue type scheme. Not like spelling color using Australian. No. So Bob, this is like, it is not very obvious unless you really pay attention to it. I will tell you, it is not a spelling, but it is an actual, like, it states something that is just wrong. There's an I'll call it an image because it's not really text, but there's like an image on the bottom right corner of a certain pop-up that shows up, and it's incorrect. It is not the correct thing that it tells you. Anybody want to go look for it?
I don't have my Jira instance up on the side. Not me.
Not you. Not when you're co-hosting. But honestly, like, go look for it. Like, I cannot, like, it's been bugging me for like the last 6 months since I found it. And every time I make a project, I'm like, damn it. Did you know also, by the way, so I posted a little sidebar, folks. If you haven't already, today I published an episode here where I interviewed the fun man Andy, and I made a comment at the beginning, right? I had to bleep it a couple of times. Hey, STEM tutorial, because it's my wife. Everybody say hi to my wife.
I miss Alex.
And so I was bleeping, or my wife was bleeping it out, right? And so she's kind of going through it, but then when we were going to upload it, we had to make a call because it's the first video where we had like a potentially bad word in that last, Jira, Google, man. Jeez, this is how much Atlassian and Jira are in my head all day, because every sentence comes out with Jira. But Google will actually give you a list of like all the bad words, and it's on there. Like, they're like, does your video contain this word or this word or this word or this word? And we looked at one and we're like, he only said it once, and it's not really a bad word. And so I was between like, should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I risk getting demonetized? Should we go back and edit it because it was already edited and rendered, but we just didn't know it was one of the words? And so we're like, screw it. The ethical thing to do is just claim it, right? I'm like, I'm actually kind of curious how it impacts if you do have a bad word. And one of the words I just said was in it. So, but then it turned green. It said green, and it said it's still safe for monetization. So I'm like, well, you can say those two words, but if you guys are ever curious, Google does post you like a little list of all the bad words. It's funny too, though. They'll draw a line on which is a really bad word and like which bad words are okay, because they'll list them out. But then the really bad words are just like they almost like censor them. It's kind of funny. Anyways, little sidebar. Very, very bad sidebar. But yeah, everybody go find this little problem with the project. I am very curious to see if anybody else pays as much attention. It's really easy to glance over. It's really easy to get in muscle memory of creating a project and just clicking through, right? But once you see it, though, you'll never be able to unsee it. Unless Atlassian changes it one day. Where's the cricket? All right. So
you're gonna
last 15. Let's still positive. Last 15 minutes. Next topic: org admin certification.
Yeah, Atlassian gave us a new certification. They warned us this was coming. I was doing some research on how to remain an Atlassian certified expert because my expirations are coming up pretty fast, and I'm losing several certs to the downfall of server. So I'm having to look, okay, how do I maintain my certification status and credentials?
How much is that stuff?
So
Like to renew, is it expensive?
no, renewing is like $25.
Oh, that's
It's
cheap.
not bad at all. The certifications themselves, especially compared to something like a Cisco or a VMware, are not bad at all either. Um, VMware, you have to pay like 5K and then go somewhere and take a class for a week and then take the test. And then if you pass the test, they'll think about it. No, you'll get it, but it feels like that sometimes. Atlassian, you self study. It is $300 per exam normally. 250 to 300 depending on which exam it is. You go take the test. It's proctored, but you get done and you know by the end whether you passed or not.
How long is the test?
It varies. I don't know how much the one for this Atlassian org is because I haven't taken this one.
What?
It's
Who
one I'm
should
studying for.
who should take this one though? Because the way I haven't looked into it, but the way I use Jira, I would have a very select few group of people that would want to have to take this test.
Well, I mean, anyone who has access to your Atlassian access in your directories, or anyone who is controlling who has access to which Jira and Confluence instance in the cloud. This is a cloud cert.
No, I get that, right? But
Yeah, but that's kind of who it's targeted for. Is who's managing the overall organization for your company.
so what's the difference between an org admin and your site admins?
Scope. A site admin is managing an individual Jira instance in the cloud. TJG.Atlassian.net versus TJL.Atlassian.net. They could be related. They could be under the same access and the same directories, but they're still separate sites. As I understand it, again, I'm still studying. Cloud is still something I'm learning myself, so I could be very wrong.
So Bob tells us 3 hours for the test, and then billing.
Yeah.
So billing's interesting. So I mean, because I'm exposed to this a lot, right? So I see the value in being an org admin versus a site admin. Most teams can get away with just having a site admin because most teams only have one instance of Jira and or Confluence, right? But it's the same URL. So your instance, your org is that URL at the top. And there's a lot that you can do in admin.atlassian.com, which is a really big, I don't want to say disconnect, but it is a difference between the data center version of Jira or Atlassian, right? Because you don't have, the way Atlassian does the cloud is you have like this like environment that sits on top of your products. And then you there's got tentacles into all your products and you can manage everything from up there. It's really clever, but can be confusing. But the only true value, the only really true value in having an org admin, from my opinion, right, is when you have more than one instance. You can manage all.
That's the situation we're looking at my day job. Is we're data center first. We find a lot of value in data center, but we still have cloud utilities. Some of it are shadow IT that we've discovered and taken over. Some of it is stuff that people have legitimate needs for that cloud solves. But we do have some cloud entities, and we're managing multiple of these. So I've been kind of doing this work. I won't say well, but I have kind of doing this work for a bit now.
How do you feel about shadow IT?
I get it. I've committed it.
you accept it.
I accept it, but when it comes to Atlassian tools, it's my job to try and manage that. So
when you come to the cloud and you go to Atlassian Access, be ready to have a really, really bad shadow IT.
Yeah, we claimed one domain and we actually discovered 2 new Jira instances we knew nothing about.
Yeah, and they will keep coming. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do because I've been, especially, and this problem gets exasperated. Is that the right word? blown up. Sorry, this is not an English course, right? But the problem becomes exponential the more users you have, because as you own your domain and they go out to the wild and they go and sign up, they go to Atlassian.com and they're using their work email, well, you own that domain. And where you get bit in the butt, where you have to pay, is if that user is not in your like Jira or your Confluence. This is really more of an enterprise problem than anything else. But if you're in Atlassian Access, right, you're gonna pay for the user to be able to use their at yourcompany.com email, right? And so when they go to Atlassian.com and they sign up for like tester.atlassian.net using that work email of yours, well, while you don't have to pay for their Jira, but you are on the hook now for paying for their Atlassian Access, even if they don't access your paid Jira and your paid Confluence, right? They will not come up as a blip on your Atlassian Access bill. I think that's super annoying though. Like, why am I being punished? And there's no way to kick them out, really. I mean, Atlassian's like, well, put them on a non-billable policy, but yeah, when you got a couple people, it's easy. But like one instance that I have is I have like about 25,000 rogue employees and there is no bulk edit. So carpal tunnel is not a thing.
Yeah. This actually stopped us from claiming one of our domains at the day job. And we eventually got past it. We found a solution with Atlassian's help. But yeah, that was a problem.
Yeah, it's and the worst part is you can't even like shut it down. You can't, you know who the admins are, and you can talk to them, and half the time they're like, I'm sorry, I didn't even know that this was a thing that I'm breaking here or causing like hidden bills. But I think the worst part is that whole like the way that they did that Atlassian Access and now you're on the hook for paying for them. It's not much, it's like $3 a month, but you do enough of them. Like one time
3 months a month with 25,000 people.
Right,
it's still $75,000 a month.
Right. So yeah, that's what I was gonna go. Right, it gets pretty high up there very quickly. So yeah, if you are an Atlassian Access user, let us know. And if you've been a victim of this shadow IT, let us know as well. I'm kind of curious to see. We'll add those to our horror stories. It will almost make it like have you seen the Haribo gummy bear reviews? We'll have to do something.
I have. Some things you can't unsee.
Yeah, some things you can, but we'll have to do it. So are you gonna try to get the Atlassian org admin certification?
I think I am.
Do you have?
And the reason I think I am right now is they're offering a special introductory price of just $100 to take the exam. This one is normally $250.
Any tips for people like me that don't test well? Because I've never done that yet. I've done the practice test and I was like, nope, no.
I really can't help you because I've never been one of those people. I've always tested well.
Some people, man. Are you the type of person that like you would go not actually show up to class in college and then like pass everything, but you didn't have to suffer?
I plead the fifth, just because some professors might be watching.
Bob says, "Bite the bullet." Yeah, if only I had that confidence, Bob. I have no confidence in my ability to go take tests, and that is like the only thing that is the reason why I don't have any certifications, because I am like scared beyond scared to take that test.
I'm going to be honest with everyone here. I have actually failed an Atlassian certification exam before, just the one, and I eventually did pass it. But there is an exam I have failed in the past. It is not the end of the world.
Should I gasp? We are human, people. We are human. I took so I think where I got traumatized the most is I did the CISSP. In case you didn't know this, I had
I'm sorry.
I had a life in cybersecurity, and so I took the class. And I got the voucher, and my dumb butt decided to wait 364 days to take the test. Right?
Oh, you just made it worse too.
I know. And the day that the voucher expires, I'm like, okay, I will take the test. And so I go and take the test. And in those 364 days that I delayed, the founders and makers of that exam decided to change the format. So everything I studied for was now irrelevant. And let me tell you, there's no worse feeling in the world than when three out of four questions can be the right answer, but there's one that's the most right, and you have to get it right because you can't go back. It's got to be the right answer, and once you hit next, you're gone. You're never coming back to that question again.
All right. Well, I'll give you a little bit of good news. It's not entirely good news. Atlassian exams, this isn't the good news here. Atlassian exams very much are, here's 3 answers that are sort of right and then one that's entirely right. That is very much a thing they do. But you could go back, you can mark these questions you're not unsure about, take the rest of them, and then come back to the ones you're unsure about. So you can go back. And what's more is, on occasion, I've had this happen 3 or 4 times throughout my exams. A question they ask later is based off the same material, and it kind of inadvertently answers the earlier question I wasn't sure about.
Or confuse the heck out of you even more. It could go either way. I need to take a little quick time out here because Dita has joined the chat, and now we're even. Welcome to the Grummies. She's my partner for the ACE quiz. And so now, Dita, you can fight with Bob on the chat, and I'll fight with Ronnie over here. Maybe we can be foreshadowing that we're going to get to the end here. I don't know if I told you. I think this public information, but my only goal with this whole Ace Wiz quiz thing is to take out Chris, because I feel like this thing was rigged last year. Like, I should have beaten Chris Cook. Like, I don't know how I got less points than him.
You should have been Chris Cook. I had COVID when I had to face him. That was absolutely a hard break.
Grummies will be number 1, Dita. I hope that every influence out there can hear you and make this so. We missed a couple of things. So Bob said bite the bullet. I think I said that. Dita said the Security Plus is traumatizing. Yeah, Security Plus is. I let mine expire, but I like that one way more than CISSP. Do not do the CISSP. Sounds like safe exams. Safe for those of you here. Scaled Agile framework. Do we have to pay to just even say safe on the stream? Bring safe, like,
I hope not.
Have you ever heard of safe?
I have heard of safe.
The crap out of that name. Like, you can't mess around with their stuff. Even just writing a blog post and saying like safe sucks or something, like, they'll come at you.
Okay, I've got to show this one.
Who has 2 thumbs to beat Chris Cook? Of course, we got our reigning champion from last year, defending champion. Bob, any tips for us? Dita is actually new to this, so any tips that you may have for new contenders? They should be like an onboarding experience, by the way, because this test last year was ridiculously hard and stressful.
I've got a hint. If Bob doesn't, find last year's champion and partner up with him.
I did that. I did that in college. One of my final senior level classes, I signed up with the smartest person in my class, and it was a lot easier than trying to figure it all out. Also, I married my wife, who happens to be a couple years older than me and the same major, so I had like my own private tutor at home. So that's the cheat code to life, is like marry someone that's way smarter than you. It'll work out better. So Bob also says, I hate exams too, but I bear down and I'm a Atlassian certified expert. Bob, nobody likes to show off. Okay, nobody likes to show off. Dita had a hand pink waving. I'm
pretty sure that's one of the emojis over on
the YouTube side. Oh, I see. It's a pink hand. Literally, it's a pink hand. The Grummies is the name of us, so we will be number 1. And Bob says, "Oh yeah, great." But I do have 2 thumbs up and 2 toes. Okay, Dita's got a great sense of humor. I'm very excited to partner up with her. Here's someone that came out of left field, and I put out a little. I secretly low key wanted to partner up with Chris. But you know me, and I don't like to ask people, right? So I put up a message, and I'm like, "Hey, who wants to be on my team?" And Dita took it. I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna give it to her." She came first. She had the guts to come and do it. So we're partnering up, and I'm very competitive, but I suck. So we'll see how far we get. Bob,
Bob, yeah, he says I did pretty well last week. I talked about Rodney, and Bob just helped confirm the right answers. And I do not feel that's the case at all. I think Bob had just as many right answers as I did, because there are more than a few I was entirely stumped on.
what like? I guess I'll have to wait. I don't even know when I'm going up, but I'm ready. I'm excited. I am kind of sad though. I hate. He said it was an elimination thingy, and I don't like eliminations. I believe in second chances. Ditto says I have no sense of stranger danger. And then she says, "Cool. Oh yeah, that was her first question. She's like, "You're not like some freak on the internet, right?"
Hmm.
And I'm like,
Oh,
"No,
worse, he's a YouTuber.
no. Her personal satisfaction to make sure that I was not a freak on the internet was, oh, I noticed that you were friends with the Jira guy, so you must have been a safe person to talk to." So that's how she took a chance with a total stranger on the internet.
I mean,
so we are at time here. We had one more quick topic, but maybe we'll just leave it for next time. What do you think? Do you want to go an extra couple minutes here?
yeah, I think we'll save it for next time.
Okay, we will save it for next time, but we do have another cool topic to talk about. Something that happened to both of us this week. And I definitely want to talk about it. But for everybody else, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed it. This is our inaugural episode. Please do make sure that you subscribe if you made it this far and you haven't subscribed. We are trying to get to 200 subscribers, hopefully by next week. And so let's see if we can crush some goals here. We've already completely surpassed our original goal of 100 subscribers in like a record time. And for everybody else that's watching, thank you so much. If you ever want to be a part of this, please do let us know. We have links. We have the ability to add an extra 8 people here. So if you want to come in and join the banter and maybe not just send all the messages, you are more than welcome to join us. This is going to be open. We're also going to be doing interviews. So if you want to jump in, if you have a topic that you want to talk about, you can be one of our premier guests. And we would be more than happy to have you on board and bring a topic, bring whatever you want to talk about. We just want this to be a cool little environment for the Atlassian community, a place to kind of get to know 2 different members. We get to challenge each other and learn from each other, and hopefully just add a little bit of value to this community here. So any parting words, Rodney?
No, I think you've stated it pretty well. Just as I always say when I sign off,
Oh my God.
have you updated your Jira issues today?
No, but I think we got to update it for this one, right? It's the Jira
We
Life
have
chose
to.
us. We chose the Jira Life. Or what was it? Was it backwards? Did I get it backwards?
I
And
think you got
remember,
it.
you got to
We
tell
did
them,
not choose the
remember,
Jira Life.
Yeah, remember, you don't choose the Jira Life. The Jira Life chooses you.
I
So
think that's perfect.
thank you,
Yeah.
everybody. We will. Feedback as well on the time. Right, we've already gotten. We know we have a lot of overseas people. A little late for overseas. We can go a little earlier. We can go a little later. We can go so late that it's your morning. So let's get some feedback. Let us know what you think. And I literally just did a bulk change. But yeah, thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you next week. We'll be back every week. We'll be back. So clear your Thursdays, pending the time that we agree on. But clear your Thursdays. We will be back, and just make sure you share this video. Hit some likes. Hit some comments. These do help Atlassian, YouTube. Promote the video. We're on a very, very uphill battle here, folks. We gotta get to 4,000 hours. We got 3. So
Yeah.
so we got a long way to go, and so hopefully you guys can help us out with just watching these videos, sharing them. I know my mom's gonna be watching this on replay for like the next month. So thank you very much to everybody.
I mean,
and we'll see you next week.
See you guys next week.
Bye.